Join us, the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast, on a journey where we delve into the heart of the matters that truly make a difference. Our mission is to create a platform where we can openly discuss topics that often go unnoticed or unexplored. We aim to shed light on these crucial issues and have meaningful conversations. We invite you to tune into our podcast, where we will explore the depths of these subjects and let our hearts guide the conversation. Together, we can create a space where everyone's voice is heard and where we can collectively work towards a better future. Welcome, everyone, to the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast. I am your host, Nia Imani. My voice is going in and out just a little bit because the weather doesn't know how to, stay consistent. Either it's 80 degrees or 60 degrees, but nonetheless, I have this phenomenal Philly native, Mr. Ariel Lajara, with me. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Thank you. You guys, he is a phenomenal person, man, educator. So I know I need you to be glued to my words when I read this bio because he is a dope person. I'm going to read your bio and then we'll get started with the questions, okay?
Awesome.
All right. My friend, Ariel Lajara, is an ardent educational leader dedicated to leveraging strong learning communities to transform student experiences regardless of their locations. Raised in the Philadelphia public school system, Ariel attended J. Cook Elementary and Alany High School. His career began as a paraprofessional and has since included roles such as teacher, dean of students, director of instruction, assistant principal, and currently assistant superintendent at the school district of Philadelphia. You guys, he climbed that ladder, as you can hear me, okay? As principal at Honorable Louise Murden Elementary, Ariel led this school to three consecutive years of progress in all categories of the school progress report, earning the Accelerated Improvement Award. His current leadership has resulted in significant improvements in state assessments within his network. Not all. We're not done yet. He is also a senior fellow at the Relay Graduate School of Education's National Principals Academy, a fellow at Neubauer. There you go. Thank you. He's the educator. He's teaching me. Philadelphia Academy of School Leaders, and participates in the Leaders of Leaders program and Diverse Force on Boards program. His comprehensive experience has equipped him with the skills to drive meaningful changes for both staff and students. Committed to continuous learning and community service, Ariel is actively involved with Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, and the Pennsylvania Association of Hispanic School Administrators. His ultimate goal is to enhance student performance by fostering equitable, safe, and positive school environments. Is there something you don't do?
Yeah, there's some things I don't do. But I try to, do as much as I can with the time I have. So,
my first question to you is, who do you say you are? Out of everything that I just read, who would you say that you are?
I think the most important thing that I would say who I am is I am from Dominican descent. My family's from Dominican Republic. I'm a first generation American. However, spent a lot of time in my homeland in Dominican Republic, cultivating that cultural belief and cultural understanding. Also, living in a third world country allowed me to understand the privileges that we have elsewhere, specifically in the United States of America, but encouraged me to always give back, lift as I climb, be that helping hand, and be that community builder everywhere I go. So my upbringing is something that might not be captured in my bio, but it's the reason that I do everything I do.
How has your upbringing, being from the Dominican Republic, going to school in the Philadelphia school public system, how has that all shaped you to become this phenomenal educator that literally climbed the ladder?
Exciting. So I take a lot of pride in saying that I started as a paraprofessional and now I'm an assistant superintendent because I understand the dynamics and the importance of every role, no matter how large or how small, but also how when we make decisions, how it can negatively or positively impact diverse stakeholder groups. So living and breathing these positions and acting on them has allowed me to be a more equitable leader and really enhance my transformational leadership characteristics. So that's kind of where I lie with that.
And how did you end up being let me get this right. You were the principal. How were you able to create that progress in 3 consecutive years how did you do that?
Well, something that I'm big on is that before you shift practice, you have to shift mindset. And so when I got there, and I was at a young age, so at first I had to prove I was about 30 years old when I became principal. So I had to prove that A, I was equipped to be there, but B, also what's the outcomes of my leadership. And we did a lot of mindset work around the belief system of these students in this specific area code, which is in Fairhill, which in Philly they call the Badlands, but Fairhill. Uh, that they can achieve, that they can grow. And then once we did that mindset work, we put a lot of essential practices and systems in place to ensure that we were educating the whole child mentally, physically, and socially. Once that came about, it became the fabric of the school, how we approach the work. And I'll get into more details on these strategies later in the interview. But we were able to really do some amazing work with those students, increase academic scores by double digits, and just create a very safe, welcoming, holistic environment for students where they wanted to come to school on a daily basis.
Were you ever one of those students that did not want to go to school? Were you, can you relate to some of those students?
Really, way too much because I was one of those students, and I didn't speak English till I was 6. And when I went to school, I struggled with the low expectations. I didn't recognize that there was low expectations, but
Mm,
some of the schools I went to and some of the staff that I was involved with as a child just had very low expectations for the student population. And
mm.
it took about 3 to 4 different individuals to really go above and beyond in my life, specifically in the high school setting at Albany High School, where they showed me more than a grade or more than an education. They showed me a compassion and an understanding that all students can learn, but more importantly, that I could be successful no matter what part of the city I come from. So, with that and those transformational teachers that I had, Mr. White, Mr. Weifels, Ms. Johnson, and a few others, they just really allowed me to propel and showed me that I can do this. Now, I didn't know that I was going to make it this far in my life because I come from very little, but they opened up my eyes that I can do this, and sky's the limit, man. We still rocking and rolling. I'll be wrapping up my doctorate in a couple months. Yep. I'll be joining you, Doc. Don't worry. And and after that, seeing where my career takes
Wow.
me.
Doctor, I mean, talk about the ladder, like the sky's the limit. And I'll go into other questions, but you're making me think of other questions too. Like, what does your family think about you? Like,
And I'll tell you why. My father dropped out of third grade to take care of his family. My mom didn't finish high school, so uh, in the beginning, my mom and them thought, "Hey, finish high school, maybe get a bachelor's." But what I realized was how much sacrifice my mother had to make to put me in this position to be successful. And then I took that as a drive. I took it as a challenge. I realized that the universe ordained me to carry this torch, and I'm going to carry it. And I wake up with that passion every day. Like, hey, where can I take this to? Also, knowing my why and my purpose. Mark Twain once said the 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why. And when I found out my why at a young age, I realized that it's to build community, to uplift cultural traditions, to enhance the overall aspect of human life that I come in contact with. So I found out that, hey, I could do this through education. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that I can do this through other entities. So I started two LLCs as well, one that supports equitable housing and one that supports um, professional development, coaching, things of that nature for people.
Your mom, your parents did a great job with you.
Every day. I really do. She's awesome. Doesn't speak English. Couldn't advocate for me the way that I think a
Mm.
student deserves to be. But that's why I fight so much for these equitable resources to ensure that all families got what they need, no matter where they stand.
Absolute. Oh my, you are. e- Everybody needs you in their school. Jesus, Mary and oh my gosh, like you need to be like the board of education, like president or something. Like
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'll get there after I'm done my career.
yes, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's see. Okay, so what strategies and initiatives did you implement to drive the success in your schools, and how can they be replicated in other schools?
Absolutely. So we started with identifying exactly where our students are at, and then identifying what resources can we put on there through some grants that the school had for, uh, for schools that were in need, like the one I was leading. I was able to identify intervention teachers to really support that bottom tier student that need additional support.
Mhm.
Also, reading specialists. But then we had our data meetings, which were super amazing. We still run to this day. We've enhanced them where on a weekly basis, teachers come in to a professional learning community. They spend about 60 minutes grappling on a new topic, a new task, a new strategy that they're going to implement. Then that allowed us to have focus on focus, which means when we go to classrooms, we're focusing on the specific strategies that we just talked about. And we attach everything to a student outcome. So teachers will come back with artifacts that indicate, hey, I implemented this strategy. This is how it's increased my student outcomes. And long and behold, we went from the fourth worst ranked school in the city to top 30 in 2 years. It's a newspaper article about that. Everything I say is captured in some level of news article. So yeah, it still brings a smile to my face because that work was it impacted the community in a very positive way.
Like you said, it's not so much about the grade, but you showed compassion too. You showed that you cared. That and to see somebody like you, a brown, a Dominican man, like that must have also given the community something to strive for. Like you have been in this with us.
Cannot be what you cannot see, and it's so important to put the right figures in place, the public figures in place for students to see that you can achieve greatness, you can achieve coming from these neighborhoods. And it's also my upbringing allowed me to be able to resonate with a lot of their challenges, difficulties, and even some positive things from growing up in the urban setting, inner city youth. So it was a match made in heaven. I really felt it that way, and it's the 4 years I led that school were some of the four best years of my life because it was meaningful work. Like you wake up every day and you're just super excited to do it.
Placed in every school district all over the world.
I love that question. So after I left the principalship, I became assistant superintendent. I'm in my fifth year. And what I've been able to do is scale a lot of those practices and work ethics to now a system of schools that I lead. I lead 15 schools in a North Philadelphia section.
Wow.
So what we're doing now is we're literally implementing a lot of these strategies that now have become a household name throughout the district. But
Wow.
we're implementing it in 15 schools, and we're doing a lot of trend walks and a lot of collaborative work to ensure that we identify who's doing it the best, and then
Mhm.
we go visit, and so we can mirror and replicate these practices.
Great. I mean, you're leaving me great job
Yeah, yeah.
because I mean, I feel like because I'm from Philly, I'm from West Philly too,
Mm,
and my father worked for the school district,
mm,
and my brother and I did not go to school district schools.
got it.
So
Mhm,
I feel like if you were in place,
mm.
we would have, because it was, oh, don't go to the school district of Philadelphia. But you are saying, yes, you can come to the school district of Philadelphia and get a great education and be in an environment that cares. You're changing that whole process, that whole trajectory.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's our mission. We want to ensure that no matter what community you're in, you're afforded a high quality education, and also that it's a welcoming environment. We grew up with a mindset where it's like we were seen but not heard. And if you really want to be an equitable leader, all students need to be seen and heard. And we need to have systems to capture the thoughts of students that might not verbally communicate, which we have through our student well-being survey. So we're really hyper focused on equity centered leadership. And like I said, educating that whole child is just much more than the four major subjects. It's a well rounded experience so our students can transition into their communities and be productive citizens.
When you become president,
Hey, I like
geez Louise, what type of holistic developments do you implement in students? Can you share some examples of programs and practices you've championed that support the social and emotional growth of students, particularly in the under-resourced communities?
Absolutely. So I'll start with book studies that I've led around trauma informed practices. And the reason why that's so important is as young people experience trauma, unfortunately, what happens is it gives you a cognitive delay in your brain as it's forming because these are traumatic experiences. And we don't take those things into account. And a student might share they've been through X, Y, and Z. And then we have better understanding of what resources and what needs we need to meet. Also, we start our day with a morning meeting. Instead of jumping straight into the curriculum, we do breakfast. Then we do 30 minutes of morning meeting where it's a lot based on SEL, social emotional learning, but it allows the students to amplify their voices so we can hear what they're saying around certain topics, but also students can also communicate something that's out of the context of that and say, hey, and that way the teacher knows the student might need a little extra love today.
Right.
And we have systems for relationship first, for check-ins, where we check in with students throughout the day, depending on that. So there's a lot of different practices you can put in play at your school to make sure that our students' social and emotional well-being are at the forefront of education.
I love that. Now, playing devil's advocate, what would you say to the teacher that says, I'm here to teach the student? I'm not here to check in or do holistic approaches. What would be your answer?
Well, my answer is I started our conversation with this. Far too often, we attempt to shift the practice while shifting someone's mindset. It's impossible to shift practice without mindset. It's that heart and mind correlation. And if one of them is not in it, we're not going to be successful. So starting the year off strong is giving people an understanding around why are we doing this work, and specifically rooted to the communities that we serve. If that comes to life, then there's clearly other measures. If it's a one-off with a teacher, or how we're going to coach and support that. But you have to come into an understanding that this is what we do at the school. So I will go to the root cause of that is when you're interviewing candidates, it's so important to ask high order, open ended thinking questions about these processes that you have at your school to ensure that you are a good match and you're a good fit. Doesn't mean that you're a bad candidate. It just might be that you're not the best fit for what we're trying to accomplish at this school and maybe at this district. So those are some of the strategies I will implement to make sure that these things come to life.
What you doing? Y'all listening to him? Because oh my gosh, you're it. Um, as a senior fellow at various educational leadership programs and your involvement, how do you approach the mentorship and development of other educational leaders? What key qualities do you believe are essential for effective school leadership?
Yeah, so for me, I'm really big on transformational leadership, which the characteristics are like idealized influence and intellectual stimulation and things of that nature. So big on mentorship. I've had when I was a principal, I had four assistant principals because all of them became principals after they left my leadership. I'm very excited about that. I take mentorship into heart. because you have to pay it forward. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for a lot of people in my life investing in me. A lot of these programs, Relay, I became a superstar, rock star principal after that. And then after Neubauer, I put it all together, the Academy of School Leaders. Those two programs really molded a lot of what I do in my work and allowed me to see many things through a diverse lens and a diverse perspective, which I call frame flipping. So it's a cycle. You get mentored. So I have a mentor, and that coaches me. I coach my principals. They coach their teacher coaches. Their teacher coaches coach their teachers. Like, you have to have this cycle, but you have to be vulnerable enough to say, I'm going through this process as well, as a lifelong learner. I just came back from Portland 2 weeks ago from the Allies conference, and I came reinvigorated and inspired. Like, we need this. This work that we do is extremely challenging, and everybody needs somebody else just pouring a little bit more into each other.
Absolutely. Once again, speechless. You are, yeah, you're it. Beyond your professional role, you actively engage in community service through your Frat Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents. How do these engagements inform your work in education, and what are your ultimate aspirations for the future?
Great question. So what I would say is that these engagements keep me humble, keep me grounded.
Mhm.
I came from an extremely impoverished community. I grew up in a household with a lot of individuals because my mom played the liaison for my family migrating to this country. So no matter where I'm at in life, I always want to give back. And giving back reminds me that at one point in my life, I was on the other end of that receipt. I was receiving. I grew up on welfare from birth to 22.
Mhm.
I understand what it is for somebody to extend their hand of friendship and help you out. And I always want to consistently give back to the community. So the work that I do through Omega Psi Phi, my fraternity, is impactful. I mean, we give out fans in the summer. We do turkey drives. We do clothes drives. It really helps that population of people that might really need that help. It's humbling. But also in the fellowships, it allows me to increase my capacity around educational practice, so I can then transfer that expertise to the people that work with me at my network, and when I do outside work as well through one of my LLCs.
Amazing. Where do you see the future of the school district of Philadelphia, or just education in general? Like, what would be the ultimate, like, I did it, we did it together? Where do you see the future of education?
I think the future is something that we've been trying to do in the present and
Yeah.
past, and is increasing the amount of student to student discourse that's happening. All the research points that our students are going to learn more from their peers, and is also training our teachers to become facilitators. You and I come from a time where it was what they call a gradual release, and what that means is the teacher teach
Right.
you what to do, tell you what to do, and then you do it. Which, unfortunately, the teacher was teaching you how to think.
Mm.
I mean, sorry,
Right,
what
right,
to
right,
think instead of
right.
how to think. Where we want to go to is we want to front load content to students in a way that allows them to productively struggle and grapple with concepts they're not familiar with, so they could stretch their brain muscles in a way that allows them to think on their own. All of these things culminate what I believe is very powerful. If you can engage a student into independent and critical thinking, then that's a transferable skill that you take into the rest of your life. We have way too many people that just go with the flow, and we have our freedom of speech. And I want students to speak up for themselves, not just in the classroom, but outside of that. That's one thing. On the innovative side, we're now just piloting, these Chat GPTs and Google Gemini's and things of that nature, because it's the new wave of technology,
Mhm.
and we can make the harsh mistake of going against the grain, or we can identify and create boundaries on how to use it to amplify student thinking.
Mhm.
Uh, it's at the axis of their fingertips. So why not just put it to life in a way that is accessible to them, in a way that can enhance their learning? So I would say those two things are things we want to see come to life, but we're at the very infant stages of these processes.
That is amazing. And just looking at you, hearing you, for those that see themselves in you for whatever reason, they're a male, they're Latino, they came from a third world country, they came from Philly, but they're listening to you, you're like, you know what? I, I think you're just one in a million. Like, I can't do that. I can't come out of poverty. I can't, like, what would you say to that person that is like, I want to be like you, or I want to live, I want to live in my purpose, but I don't think I can.
I think the first thing is exactly what you said. You can't live in your purpose if you don't know your why.
Mm,
And the two best things that I differentiate all the time in my life is gift and talent. My gifts come from the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and they could come from the universe or whatever what higher power someone might
mhm,
believe in. My talents is what I cultivate. Now, when you can merge those two together and you have a distinctive why and purpose on the reason you're on this earth, and it comes so natural. Yes, you have to put in the work. I have countless hours of education and work in my life, but I'm always working towards the same goal, which allows me to then take what I've learned and continuously scale it to the next level. So when I was a paraprofessional, I was literally in charge of a few students in a classroom. Now I'm in charge of 7,000 students in a city that I've grown up in, and my next step is to be superintendent. So you're always scaling on your dream and on your goal, but that has to come from somewhere else. Like, you know your why when you feel it. So I challenge people to sit still
mm,
and to allow these thoughts to gravitate towards your mind, towards your soul, towards your body, and then act on it. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because whatever you're doing or whatever you're trying to innovatively do might be different. There's someone that's done it at a different level that can
mm,
give you a lot of advice. And believe it or not, people that have expertise want to share it. They just want to make sure that you're hungry and that they're
mm.
not sharing it and you're not getting anything out of it. Like for me, I'm big on seeking knowledge. And if you want to seek it from me, show me. And if you do, one way or another, we're going to make it work. I'm going to support you. But if I want it more than you do,
Right,
I immediately lose interest.
right. That know your why. I know that's right. And I'm wondering, looking at you, who's on your chain? Who's that a picture of?
That's my father. He passed away 10 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. Is he part of your why? You mentioned your mom, and you
Yes, yes, through a different lens, through a different lens. My mom, she was always there. My dad, I realized that we all have different things in our life going on that may or may not. You show up in different ways, but what I realized is that he had a work ethic and a brain like no other, and I soon realized that I had the same.
Mm,
But I don't like to rest on the shoulders of anything. I'm like, how do
mm,
I build my own legacy through my own pathway? So he played a pivotal role in my life, and some of the actions or lack thereof that happened in my life pushed my drive
mhm.
a lot more. But my dad was my best friend. We were good. We were like really good friends. Where my mom was more like my parents.
Right. I get that. I get that. Wow. I know he was and very proud of you, and still I consider is very proud of you, and your mom and your whole community. And in the very beginning, I said, "Who do you say that you are?" But I always end with, "After listening to all your powerful words, who will we say you are?"
What I hope and envision that people will say about me is that this person wants to lift as he climbs. Uh, that no success is over the work that I'm doing. My success is seeing people grow. My success is bringing joy to someone's life. It's not a title. It's not a paycheck. None of that really matters to me. It's, are you making a difference in people's lives, and how can you measure that? And if you can measure it just one iota, and that makes my day. That's really what keeps me going. So my hopes are that people see that in me, but more importantly, that I see it in myself.
Motivational speaker.
I am.
Get whoo! I
I
mean, and
am.
listen, how can people contact you? Because I can see people saying, "Oh, I need you to speak at the school. We need you. We need your program in our school." How can people contact you?
So my company is called Elevate Higher, because that's really what I believe in. Is like, how do I propel myself to elevate higher? And as I do that, how do I lift as I climb? And my email for that is elevate high, the letter R, about the E, at gmail.com. But really through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my go-to social media outlet. Ariel Lajara, Ariel, last name Lajara. I would love to connect with as many people as possible through LinkedIn. So please connect with me. Let's build. Let's innovate. Let's create, and let's keep pushing forward.
Wow, you are amazing. I just keep saying it. Like your mom did a great job.
Oh,
Like,
thank you. I'll let her know. I'm a
yes,
student too.
yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, and much luck to you, and thank you for the platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Everyone, you have heard this amazing man. Contact him because soon he's going to be president. So I'm going to need for y'all to contact him right now. Okay.
That's on the bucket
Everything
list.
he has been doing is measurable. It's working. He cares. And don't let this go by. You got to contact him now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for listening to the Humanitarian Heartbeat podcast. It's your girl, Nia Imani, and we will see you on another episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Humanitarian Heartbeat podcast. Remember, each conversation brings us closer to a world where compassion thrives. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's keep the heartbeat of humanity alive. Subscribe, share, and be a part of our journey to make a difference, one conversation at a time. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds curious, be a blessing to others, and give agape love. God bless.